Hi, my name's Steve, and in this video I am going to be going through 3D scanning. So I've recently purchased a 3D scanner, and this is from RevelPoint. This is their Inspire scanner, and I'm probably going to break this into a couple of different videos because I want to go through the setup of everything that I've got, what's all the equipment that I'm using, how am I going about doing the scanning. And then I think I want to do a separate video on the scanner itself, the software, and a little bit more specific to this device. So I want to use a 3D scanner to include within my videos as assets. So 3D assets, so I am going to be doing color images, and I want to capture what the object actually looks like. So when I create my videos, I can place a 3D object versus having to key out all of the backgrounds, do rotoscoping, and those types of things, and it's much easier to control the 3D objects. So let's get right into the setup, show you what I've got, what I've done. I've had this for a little over a month and hoping to share some of my discoveries, but if you have any items that you've come up with, would love to hear from you, so please leave any comments that you've got. So the first thing is having an area set up to capture the objects. Now, a lot of these scanners can be now handheld with a cell phone, so they're very portable. So if you're scanning objects outside, things like that, but right now it's wintertime where I am, so I'm more indoors and I'm focusing on using a table. So one of the recommendations I initially have is a table that you can raise and lower. So this has a hand crank on it that I can raise and lower this table. And it really helps as I'm getting older. I'm not able to bend over and squat down and do all these things with my back, and being able to raise and lower the table so I can always stand and have it at the height I need it, highly recommended. Once you have your tabletop, in this case, I've got a automated turntable that I've built myself, and if you want to see some of my videos on all of this automated equipment that I've created, I've got links. You can go out to my channel and check some of those out. But in this case, this table rotates, so I just have it where it rotates, but you don't want a plywood top because the scanner will pick up this plywood. So I also have the turntable that came with the RevelPoint, works, but it's a little bit small, and everything is hand adjustable, so you have to adjust it by hand. So I also have my own turntable that I purchased. This I can hook up via Bluetooth to my cell phone, and I can control the speed. I control, how much rotation it does. So it gives me a lot more ability while I'm doing the scanning to use the turntable. So a couple of different options in turntables. But again, the turntable on this tabletop, I still have a lot of the wood exposed, and it's still going to pick it up when you're scanning. So for that, any kind of a black material. So here I just have a black trash bag because the scanners tend to have a hard time picking up the plastic, the black, the dark objects, anything that's reflective. So I can simply cover my tabletop and now put everything on top of that, and that helps. So everything doesn't have to be purchased, doesn't have to be expensive. Find things around the house that you can use. But this now gets me turntables, a nice surface to work to prevent the scanning. The other thing that I did is sometimes you may not have a turntable like this, like I have, or one of these, and just a Lazy Susan. So this is just something I bought at the hardware store. It's a Lazy Susan, turns. So even if I wanted to put something on top of this, hold the table, I can still manually turn this. So lots of options. I've seen people use a tray from a microwave that has the little wheels on the bottom. So again, everything doesn't have to be purchased, But the ability to rotate the objects while you're scanning is very good, and I have found extremely helpful. Trying to go all the way and walk around the object is very difficult when I get into the lighting aspect of things. So now I want to start looking at some objects and starting to, what is it that I want to start scanning? In this case, I have this skull, and I can just put that on the turntable, bring out my scanner, have it start scanning and turning. But one of the things I noticed is a lot of these surfaces, even on this turntable, are reflective. They start having a cast around the bottom of the object that the scanner will start picking up. So it adds noise, it adds things that you have to clean up later. So one of the things I've come up with is different ways to raise the model off the table, whatever it is that you're using. This, I had a canister that I took some black duct tape. So again, when you're looking at different types of materials that are not going to show up on the scanner, I wrap this with black duct tape. Gives me something to put on the turntable that I can now put the object onto. There we go. To raise it up. And it also makes it easier when you're scanning to get a little bit underneath, to be looking up at the object, because as you turn it and try to do different angles, it needs to pick up and match that within the software to find its tracking, to keep the tracking. And being able to do a little bit underneath is very helpful in making that work. I also do some things with Legos. So I started trying to scan some Lego, and I just took a base plate of Lego in black. I took some of the little 4-point squares, put them all together, put them onto the Lego, and that now acts as a stand that I can mount my Lego onto, elevate it off the table, and it doesn't pick up the black. The other thing that I've found is, here I have some, these are guitar holders that you typically mount on the wall, and it would hold your guitar, but they're hands. And they have a bolt that you would normally bolt it into the wall. But for me to scan this, I tried it just laying it on the scanner in different ways. It did not work very well. It's very difficult to capture all the different tips of the fingers in between the thumb where I've got these angles. So I just took some 80/20 extruded aluminum. I've got a bolt in here that I can put that on, put it onto here. Now the scanner does pick this up, but it's very easy to remove because it's nice and flat. But it puts the object, the model, at a really good angle when I'm holding the scanner to capture everything. I also own some 3D printers, so I took the other hand and I wanted to try, well, I've got it facing this way, so it's up like you'd normally see it. But I 3D printed this. I've got a bolt going in, and this allows me to now put the hand at a little different angle coming at me. All of this still being able to be put onto my turntable to have the hand rotate around and get the different perspectives that I need. So try different mounting points for your objects to make it easier for you trying to scan. And obviously one of the most critical things when doing scanning for video assets or game assets or the things you want to capture, all the, not just the details of the model, but the color and the images, is lighting. Lighting becomes such a big part of putting all of this together, making it all work, and capturing consistency across your models. And the difficulty with lighting is avoiding glare, a lot of reflections, anything that, is going to give you shadows. Those types of things, as it's scanning, is going to show up in your final 3D image, your final 3D asset that you don't want. So just as some examples, one are just these are cheaper LED lights, and I've done some videos on these. where I've created my own softbox with some 3D printer and some diffusion fabric. And that's one of the keys that I've always found when you're trying to capture these images is diffuse lighting. So either a softbox, this diffusion material works very well. I have lights that I can stand up. So these are some newer lights that I can raise. I can tilt. So now I can have an overhead light on a stand. Again, created my own diffusion material for this that covers it to help soften that light. Even though you get LED lights and they have these little diffusion panels on them, I found they aren't as good as I would like. So I tend to add some extra diffusion. More diffusion isn't a bad thing. I also have larger, a little bit higher end LED lights that have a softbox. So this is an LED light panel on the back that I can control the light temperature and the brightness with a little bit of a softbox. And typically, again, 3-point lighting. One here, along with that overhead. You want to keep the scanner centered, and that's why you want to do a lot of rotation of the object. You might go up top, you might go down low, but at least the light is all coming from one direction. But in addition to that, there's little things that help. I have a light on top of one of these little desktop mounts that I can attach to my desktop, and I can move this around so I can position it. Maybe I want something underneath so that I'm scanning up and putting some lighting underneath as I'm doing my scanning. And I also have things like little handheld lights that are just, battery operated, a little light that if I need something somewhere, you can do that. So lighting, extremely critical. The last one I've got, I do have a ring light as well that you could mount the scanner in between it and have this always then with the scanner. Probably would want to create some sort of a maybe additional softbox around this, but haven't tried that one yet, so we'll see how that works. But that is a possibility as well. So lighting becomes very critical, but it's also that soft lighting. So there you have it. My setup, some hopefully things that help you if you're thinking about getting into 3D scanning. Maybe you are already doing this. I am going to be doing a second video around the Revel Point Inspire scanner, some of the scanning software, some of the tips and tricks I've learned. So that will be coming up next. So if you'd like to see that, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss it. Anything that you've seen here that you maybe have different options, things you've learned, would love it if you put them down in the comments. So I hope to see you in the next one.